Discover 3 sinister, spine-chilling true home alone experiences in haunted Appalachia. The moon hung low, a ghostly orb casting shadows that danced through the cracked windows of Emily's ancestral home. She expected the emptiness of the Appalachian woods to offer solace. Instead, eerie silence wrapped around her like a death shroud. As she unpacked, nostalgia twisted with a creeping dread that slithered up her spine. The dilapidated farmhouse, with its leaking roof and peeling wallpaper, whispered secrets of a past entwined with her lineage's dark history. That first night, as the house settled with groaning, walls sighing, she heard it. A soft tapping, like fingernails dragging against the glass. Emily shrugged it off as branches caught by the wind. But her heart raced, the feeling of eyes piercing through the dusty air made her stomach churn. Each thud echoed louder, each creak more pronounced. She was alone in this house, surrounded by memories and shadows that felt all too alive. Days melted into one another, and the tapping morphed into a ghastly symphony. The laughter of children floated through the trees, blissful and malicious, wrapping around her like a vine. Emily often caught herself peering from the window, half expecting to glimpse a figure darting between the trees, but nothing ever came. Locals had warned her about restless spirits, guardians of the land, but those tales had felt distant, mere folklore. Now, they thudded against her reality, a chilling tune that never left her mind. Seeking a reprieve, she ventured over to Mr. Howard's quaint cabin, his toothy grin as unsettling as it was charming. The strong smell of coffee enveloped her as he poured a steaming cup, telling stories of family roots buried deep within the desolate ground. As he spoke, a flicker of something darker slipped from his gaze. Your family, oh, they were known for things. His voice trailed off, a knowing grimace twisting his lips. Each tale brought forth hints of betrayal, of a lineage that dabbled in the macabre, lost in an inheritance far more sinister than she had anticipated. Suddenly, the feeling in her chest tightened as strange occurrences erupted around her. Dolls from her childhood shuffled locations without her consent, their smiles unsettlingly wider each time. Distant rumbles echoed as doors slammed shut, waking her from restless sleep. Exhausted and strung out, she could hardly grasp whether her senses were real or twisted by invisible forces. When she returned to Mr. Howard, seeking clarity amidst the shadows, he invited her to join a meeting with the elders' guardians, he called them. But with every word he spoke, every anecdote about her family's past, the sense of safety began to crumble. They weren't protectors. They were keepers of secrets drowned in blood. Chills skated down her back as her perception teetered on the brink of sanity. Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Panicking, she raced back to the farmhouse, seeking refuge. With every step inside, shadows flickered against the walls like lost souls begging for attention. They clamored for recognition, and she felt them surrounding her. A whisper curled around her ear, a chilling song of despair written in a language only the dead could understand. Her breath hitched, eyes wide with terror. The very walls that had once embraced her were now her captors, secrets clawing at her mind. As shadows thickened and laughter morphed into wails for liberation, the realization struck her with cold terror: she was not alone. Ancient ties of blood had awakened something left to slumber. And as she stood there, paralyzed by the chilling knowledge that the house craved her, she wondered what horror awaited her as the night crept closer. The night deepened, wrapping the farmhouse in a blanket of inky blackness. Emily could feel the pulse of the house, thrumming beneath her feet. She pressed her back against the wall, heart thudding so loudly she feared it would echo along the empty halls. The whispers turned into a cacophony, voices rising and falling, merging into a haunting dirge that filled every corner, every crack. They were angry. They were desperate. And they were demanding. "Take me." A voice squeaked, almost childlike, fluttering through the oppressive air. Emily's eyes darted around the room, catching fragments of movement, a flash of a small figure darting past the doorway, giggling in delight. Her pulse quickened as the laughter twisted, darker, battling with her panic. She wasn't just surrounded by shadows but by the very essence of those lost souls. In a frantic decision, she bolted towards the attic, where she hoped the remnants of the past might hold answers. She fumbled for the dusty wooden door, a chill gripping her hand as she twisted the handle. The door creaked open, revealing the darkness that loomed ahead like an abyss. Each step up the creaking stairs sent shivers racing down her spine. The attic smelled of mildew and aged paper, the air thick with a sense of foreboding. But she needed to understand. Once inside, she flicked on the dim light, revealing boxes stacked high, collections of dolls, letters, and faded photographs of ancestors with eyes that seemed too alive for portraits. She rifled through the boxes, heart pounding, each discovery wrapped in an unsettling aura. One photograph caught her eye, a girl not much older than herself, standing in front of the very same farmhouse, a wicked smile stretching across her face. "Emily, help us," the whispers intensified, now merging with her thoughts, wrapping tighter around her mind. She pressed her palms to her ears, her breath catching as a cold rush of air enveloped her. A picture frame toppled over, glass shattering on the wooden floor, sending shards flying like warnings. A distant scratching sounded from beneath the floorboards, like fingernails on wood. She froze, the sound echoing strangely familiar, the very sound that had haunted her since her arrival. It grew louder, more insistent. Trembling, Emily crouched down, pressing her ear to the floor. It was a voice pleading, crying for help. "Please find us outside." The storm raged, rain hammering against the roof like a million fists. The house felt alive with energy, every groan and creak heightened, a living organism welcoming her presence. But this was no sanctuary. It was a prison. Each shadow held a secret, and desperation clung to each whisper as firmly as the damp air clung to her skin. Panicking, Emily pulled herself back to her feet. Her heart raced as she caught sight of the attic door swinging shut. She stumbled back as a sudden gust of wind surged through, throwing open the window, rain pouring in like spectral fingers reaching for her. Somewhere in the depths of the farmhouse, laughter echoed again, but this time it was twisted, dark and accusing. "You wanted to know the truth, now you must pay." Emily's breath hitched as she glanced back at the attic door, now fully closed, a barrier between her and the storm of whispers. She hesitated but knew that she couldn't remain static. The house was watching, waiting. And the only way out was to confront whatever lay in the shadows. As she steadied herself, the lights flickered, plunging her into darkness. Just as panic surged through her, a cold hand gripped her shoulder. She turned, and there, amidst the swirling blackness, stood the little girl from the photograph, the same wicked smile stretching eerily across her lips. "Are you ready to find us?" The girl's chilling voice echoed in the silence, sending a jolt of dread through Emily. With newfound determination mixed with dread, she felt a part of her drown in fear and another rise in defiance. What truth awaited her behind those walls? But as laughter bounced around the room, she wondered how much of her soul was left to bargain. Every nerve in Emily's body screamed at her to flee, yet something anchored her to the spot. The flickering light revealed a glint of mischief shining in the girl's eyes. "You wanted to know," she said, her voice teasing yet filled with a foreboding certainty. "The truth is here." Emily's heart raced at the realization that she was more tangled in this mystery than she had ever anticipated. It wasn't just about the house, no, it was deeper, a web spun with threads of despair and lost innocence. She needed to break it. But how? "Come play with us." The girl stepped closer, almost tempted to reach out. Shadows twisted behind her, writhing like dark serpents eager to pounce. Emily recoiled, fear gripping her chest as the little girl's smile widened further. "You have to believe to see." Panic surged through Emily. She wanted to run, to escape the desolation enveloping her, but the shadows seemed alive, whispering conspiracies and secrets buried long ago. What do you want from me? She pleaded, voice shaking, eyes darting to where the light struggled to banish the dark. Find us, the girl insisted, her tone shifting, revealing a gravity beneath the playfulness. In this house, the lost souls live and they wait. The air thickened, an oppressive weight pressing down on her, swallowing her protests like a seal of silence. Suddenly, the attic door burst open. The gust of wind that followed swept away the musty air, carrying a sense of urgency. Emily froze. Behind her, an echo of laughter, unearthly and jarring, filled the space. It wasn't just the girl, a chorus joined her, a thrumming cacophony of voices entwining, demanding to be heard. Turning, Emily scanned the attic, looking for an escape or a sign. Old boxes toppled as the wind roared, revealing scattered toys, all eyes somehow on her tiny faces of porcelain dolls with painted smiles that felt ominous. One doll had a cracked face, and as she looked closer, its eyes blinked. Help us bring them back. The mumbled chant grew louder, the urgency twisting through her gut like a noose. What did they want? The little girl stepped toward her, a transparent finger pointing to the far corner of the attic. The book. It will tell you everything. It's the key. Emily hesitated, dread curling like smoke in her lungs. The storm outside raged louder as if protesting her every movement. Mustering her courage, she approached the indicated spot. Behind an old trunk, partially hidden beneath layers of dust, she spotted an old, leather-bound book, its spine cracked and weathered, as if it had been waiting for this moment. As her fingers brushed the cover, the laughter faded, replaced by a suffocating stillness. The moment she opened the book, the attic exploded in light. Words danced across the pages, writing themselves in an ancient script that sent shocks of electricity down her arms. The room trembled, the floorboards vibrating beneath her feet. Read it. The girl urged, her voice echoing through the chaos. You need to set them free. A shadow flickered just outside her line of sight. Emily's pulse spiked. Backs turned, faces grim. Was the book truly a way out or more of a trap? The eerie stillness swallowed her reply as she leaned closer to the glowing pages. The words blurred, filling her with dread, hunger, and revelation. But just before she could comprehend the context of the words before her, a cold hand wrapped around her wrist, pulling her back. There's no escape. A voice hissed behind her, filled with malice, echoed with a laughter that felt all too familiar. In that instant, Emily felt the ground fall away beneath her. The light from the book dimmed, shadows thickened, and the laughter turned into screams. What had she unleashed? With her heart racing, she stared into the depths of darkness, knowing she would have to make a choice. Stand and fight, or flee into the nightmare. And then she heard it, a whisper woven into the wind, bubbling with urgency, choose wisely. Time is running out. What would she uncover in the tempest that surged around the farmhouse? The darkness engulfed Emily like a suffocating blanket. She stumbled back, her heart pounding in her ears, drowning out the sinister laughter and cold whispers surrounding her. The grip on her wrist tightened, sending chills up her arm. The familiar voice dripped with venom. You think you can just read your way out? There's no salvation here. With a surge of adrenaline, Emily yanked her arm free, but the impact of that cold touch lingered, burning regret onto her flesh. She stepped back into the unfolding chaos, her mind racing. The glowing book threatened to draw her in, the ancient script pulsating, mesmerizing. What do you want? She shouted into the void, desperation igniting her voice. The laughter twisted. We want to play, echoed the ethereal chorus, mingling with the echoes of her own fears. The attic transformed into a haunted playground. Walls seemed to shift, toys rattled to life, and the doll's eyes glimmered with a strange consciousness. They were not mere objects, they were watchers, they were participants, and now, the stakes were dangerously high. Emily could feel the shadows seeping closer, wrapping around her like fingers of night. She refocused on the book, resolving to reclaim control over her fate. With trembling hands, she opened the weathered pages once more, searching for answers, but the words had shifted, They showed scenes of children lost and pleading, trapped in this malevolent realm, abandoned by time. Their hollow eyes stared into her soul, echoing cries of lost hope. "Bring us back!" the little girl cried, her voice rising above the spiraling chaos. "You have to understand. We're waiting." Emily's stomach churned, torn between the nightmares of the past and the grim reality of the haunting present. "How? What do I do?" she pleaded, fear bursting forth like a wild animal desperate for escape. "Find the key," the girl whispered urgently, the shadows fluttering like moths dancing too close to a flame. "But you must confront it first." Suddenly, the attic doors slammed shut, rattling violently. They shook as if the very house protested her intrusion. The storm outside crashed with renewed fury, each clap of thunder like a warning bell, furiously reminding her that time was slipping through her fingers. The room spun. Emily leaned against the trunk for support, holding her breath as thunder rolled overhead, mirroring the agony within her. In that moment, she understood the key was not a tangible object, but a confrontation, a reckoning with the spirits clinging to the house and its stories. She dispelled the thoughts of escape and readied herself. "I'm here," she shouted into the tempest, voice fierce against the storm outside. "I won't leave you behind. Show me." A low rumble echoed through the attic, shaking the very foundation. Emily could feel the pressure building, a force gathering energy, and suddenly, a figure materialized within the shadows. It was a tall, dark silhouette, eyes burning like coals, its presence demanding, suffocating all hope. "Too late," it growled, each syllable wrapping around her like chains. "You asked what you had unleashed? You are now part of us." Emily's breath caught in her throat. The air grew dense with dread as she took a step backward, aware that her defiance was pushing deeper into a territory crossed long ago. A piercing laugh erupted from the figure, echoing through the walls, causing her heart to race even faster. This entity had more power than she had anticipated. But what if? What if you could rescue them? She thought, summoning her resolve. What if there was still hope? Gathering her courage, Emily leaned in closer, but her legs trembled. The shadows tightened around her, pulling her toward the figure, threatening to engulf her entirely. Then she caught a flicker. Was that the girl's fleeting gaze, urging her on? "Face them." The little girl echoed, her voice a piercing beacon through the chaos. "Fight back." But descending deeper into the shadows, Emily felt an encroaching madness. What awaited on the other side of this darkness? With one final breath, she dove into the fray, her screams swallowed by laughter and screams. What lay on the other side of her choice? Would it unlock the salvation she desperately sought, or doom her to remain another lost soul? The abyss swallowed Emily whole, a swirling tempest of darkness and despair. Every inch of her body tingled with fear as laughter echoed all around her, insidious and mocking. The shadows wrapped tighter, pulling her into an icy embrace that sought to choke her hope, to diminish her very essence. Was this what the children felt, trapped in endless anticipation? Then, unmistakably, she sensed it, a surge of energy beneath her feet, rippling through the floorboards. The attic quaked as if alive, relentless in its urgency. She braced herself against it, her heart hammering as she fought to keep her footing. The ancient book glowed brighter, illuminating the darkened corners like a lighthouse beckoning a lost ship. "Find the key," the girl's voice whispered again, but this time it was layered with other voices, echoes of despair, each one pleading and reaching. "We're counting on you." Emily's eyes darted around, scanning for any sign of the key, the answer. But her gaze was inevitably drawn back to that dreadful figure, the towering shadow now looming just a breath away. It was a mass of swirling darkness, the face lost amid smoke and hunger, yet she felt its gaze burn into her soul. "Playtime," it hissed, each word dripped with malice that sent claws of fear piercing into her. "You can't win, you can't save them." But with resolve like steel, Emily shouted back, "No. I will not be your pawn." Words roared from her throat with a desperation that felt foreign and liberating all at once. The figure paused, an intrigued tilt to its monstrous silhouette. "Brave, little girl," it taunted. "But bravery alone cannot save you." She felt the air shift, the laughter quieting, revealing the authentic cries of lost children. "Emily! Please help us." Their voices wrapped around her, urging her on, fueling her determination. The memories of the children flickered like shattered glass, reflecting moments stolen, laughter turned to screams, joy erased by shadows. She couldn't ignore them. She wouldn't let their voices fall silent. The shadows pulsed again, stronger this time, as if the entity was retaliating. Emily pressed forward, stepping deeper into darkness. As she did, shards of pain lanced through her mind. Memories, fragmented and fractured, deluged her senses, glimpses of happiness, echoes of laughter, then screams that morphed into silence. Suddenly, a door loomed on the far side, half obscured by ink-black shadows. It shuddered, a light flickering at its edge. Was that the key? Was that hope? "Get to the door," the little girl urged, desperation heavy in her voice as the shadows coiled tighter, threatening to pull Emily back. Summoning every ounce of strength and resolve, Emily bolted toward the door, heart pounding louder than the tempest that surrounded her. The shadows clawed at her, but she drove forward, fighting against the oppressive darkness that sought to claim her. With each step, she could feel the eyes of the other children fixated on her, a cacophony of desperate pleas embedding themselves deep within her heart. "Please bring us back. Don't let us remain here forever." The figure roared, a sound that rumbled like thunder, cracking the attic walls. "You will regret this choice. You're sealing their fate." Emily screamed, "No. I will bring them home." She lunged for the door. Just as she reached for the handle, a force hurled her backward. Time slowed, breath caught in her throat as the darkness surged around her, consuming the fragile light. And then she fell, the sensation of weightlessness enveloping her, the world dissolving into chaos. The question hung in the air like a weighty shroud: had she made a grave mistake? Or was this leap into the void the very key to unearthing the truth and freeing the lost souls? Fear coiled like a serpent as she was plunged into the depths of obscurity. What awaited her on the other side, and would she be strong enough to bear the weight of the truth? The darkness enveloped Emily, a shroud of silence that droned in her ears. It clung to her like a wet blanket. Falling, she fell until suddenly, the ground jolted her awake. She gasped, slamming her eyes open, the gust of heavy air rushing in like a wave. The familiar pressure of despair lifted momentarily, but behind it, an echo lingered, weaving threads of anxiety around her heart. Emily was no longer in the attic. She lay on cold, damp grass beneath a moonless sky, the air dense with the scent of earth and rot. The cacophony of lost voices was gone, but she felt their essence lingering in her bones, an invitation and a curse. Pushing herself up, she surveyed her surroundings. She was in a clearing, ringed by gnarled trees twisted like skeletal hands clawing at the abyss above. On the far side stood a dilapidated house, its windows darkened and grim as if it held secrets darker than the night. No light flickered within, and yet a pulse reverberated from the structure as if it was alive, waiting. Shivers cascaded down her spine. She stood, heart thudding, each beat laced with dread. The laughter returned, distant but creeping in, curling like smoke to wrap around her throat. They were back. The children were still there, lost in the void. "Find the key." Their pleas exploded in her mind, amplifying her confusion and fear. Determined, Emily pushed forward, each step crunching on crisp leaves and twigs, the sound loud in the stillness. With uncertainty gnawing at her, she approached the house. Its creaking stairs beckoned like an unwelcome whisper. Would it offer the answer, a way to save the children? She reached for the door, its surface cold and splintered beneath her fingertips. Holding her breath, she swung it open. A groan escaped the hinges, puncturing the silence like a scream. Inside, the air was stale, thick, as if ages of despair had seeped into the walls. Each shadow appeared pregnant with sorrow. As she crossed the threshold, an icy gust slipped by, fingers of the dead reaching out. Emily shuddered, barely holding back a wave of nausea. Darkness enveloped her again, a different kind, oppressive, heavy, laden with sorrow. Flashes of memories flickered, the children's faces momentarily dissolving in her mind, transforming into terrified masks crying for liberation. In the center of the room stood an old wooden table. Scratch marks marred its surface, a testament to restless nights and desperate last attempts for escape. On it, there lay a dusty box adorned with strange symbols, ancient and cryptic. The key? Something shifted behind her, a breath, a whisper, a presence. Panic surged. Emily turned, and there, lingering in the corner, was the shadowy figure that haunted her nightmares. It had found her again. Its form twisted, glistening with malice, confidence oozing from every movement. "Did you think you could outrun me?" It laughed, a sickening sound that reverberated through her chest. "You're too late, Emily. They are lost, and soon, you will be too." Her pulse raced as she forced the terror down. She had to act fast. She could see the box glinting through the shadows, its energy pulsed, calling to her with urgency. Was this her chance? As she lunged toward it, something wrapped around her ankle, tugging her back. Emily stumbled and fell, a scream caught in her throat. The dark mass squealed with delight, pulling her closer. Playtime has just begun. With one last burst of resolve, she grasped the box tight in her hands. But before she could open it, the world twisted once more, swirling around her like an unforgiving storm. Was this the answer she sought, or would it deepen the abyss? The crushing weight of fear settled as she flailed, caught between light and dark, her heart pounding with uncertainty. The truth awaited, shadowed and sinister, but at what cost? What was inside the box? Would it unlock salvation, or her doom? The storm of darkness receded, and with it, the relentless pull on Emily's body lost its grip. She found herself back in the clearing, breathless and gasping. The box remained clutched in her hands, heart racing as she scanned her surroundings anew. Shadows danced among the trees, squirming like restless phantoms, their outlines shifting under an otherworldly glow that emanated from the box. "Open it," a whisper pierced the night, soft yet sharp, as if drawn by a breath all around her. The voice was familiar, too familiar. It was threaded with the cries of the children that plagued her thoughts. Could they be inside? Could this box hold their trapped souls, waiting for release? Emily's fingers trembled. She could still hear the laughter, taunting and harsh, echoing off the twisted branches. The figure that had chased her, looming with malice just moments before, had vanished. What kind of game was this? What cruel fate had she stepped into? Swallowing her dread, she turned the small clasp on the ornate box. It clicked open like the sound of a bone snapping. Inside, a deep darkness pooled, thick and viscous. She could see nothing, only a sense of foreboding flooding her mind. "Please save us," the voice swirled again, stronger now, rising like a wave lapping at the shore. Emily leaned closer, peering into the void, desperate for clarity. Suddenly, fleeting images flared up in her mind, children playing, laughing, their faces now twisted in terror, pleading for help. Each flicker twisted her heart, an arrow of anguish sinking deeper. Before she could process it, the box erupted in a cold light, illuminating the clearing as if dawn had broken. But this light was alien, sickly green and reeking of decay. From the depths of the box, shadowy tendrils emerged, reaching out like skeletal hands, curling around her wrist with icy fingers. Emily screamed, yanking her hand back, but the grips tightened, pulling her closer. "Join us," they hissed, voices of many layering into one, a chorus of despair luring her into its depths. Emily's entire being screamed to pull away, but a dark longing tugged at her heart. The promise of answers, the hope of saving the children. With a burst of determination, she fought against the tendrils, feeling the stranglehold loosen just enough. She yanked open the box further, and the air thickened with an unbearable chill. Memories of the house's sorrow flooded her, images of entities trapped within, their cries shuddered away. Suddenly, something shifted again. From the shadows of the trees, the figure materialized, more monstrous than before. In the bewitching light, it looked almost human, but its features were obscured by shadow, melting into a grotesque smile that stretched unnaturally across its face. "Do you really want to know the truth, Emily?" it crooned, voice rich and inviting. The question echoed in her mind, twisting her resolve. Could knowing lead to salvation or ruin? Face the shadows and unlock the essence. Don't you want to save them? The question hovered in the air, a sinister challenge that made her freeze. The children's faces swirled within her mind, stitched with desperation. Did she dare to discover the truth? Would it uphold their souls, or would it shatter her? As she hesitated, the darkness thickened, coiling around her like a serpent ready to strike. Her time was running out. Dread still flickered in her chest as the weight of shadow offered only an illusion of hope. What was the truth waiting to be unearthed? Would the answers exonerate her or condemn her forever? "Choose wisely," the figure whispered, and its laughter echoed in suffocating waves around her. Emily's heart pounded in response. All eyes were on her decision. What happens if she dares to look into the abyss? Would she be consumed, or could she rise to save those pleading from beyond? The shadows around Emily twisted and writhed, almost alive with anticipation. The figure before her floated less than a foot away, its presence heavy and suffocating. The laughter of children danced in her ears, rising to a fever pitch, calling her to a choice that felt both damning and liberating. "Will you save them?" The figure pressed, its voice dripping with honeyed malice. "Or will you let them fade into the dark forever?" Emily's mind raced. The weight of the box in her hands felt like an anchor, dragging her deeper into the storm of uncertainty. She tugged at the tendrils still clutching her wrist. They squeezed tighter, a mix of agony and fear rushing through her. Images of the children faces bright and cheerful, then contorted in horror flooded her thoughts. What did she stand to lose? What kind of truth awaited her? Was the shadowed figure right? Was this box the key to their freedom? With every breath, her heart raged against its cage, pounding like a drum of war. "If I open this box, what happens?" she demanded, her voice shaking. "Will they be saved or will I destroy everything?" "Perhaps both," it replied smoothly, the grotesque smile growing wider, revealing teeth that glistened like shards of broken glass. "The truth is a double-edged sword, dear Emily. Enter the darkness to retrieve the light or drown in sorrow." She hesitated, fighting the pull of the shadows that beckoned her deeper into the void. Fear coiled in her gut, a serpent of doubt. But the flickering images of the children's faces burned brighter, urging her on. Just as she gathered her breath to speak, the tendrils surged, pulling her closer, suffocating her in their embrace. Instinct kicked in, and she swung the box open, heart racing as the chilling light flooded the clearing around her, illuminating every corner with an unholy glow. The air crackled with energy, thick with despair and longing. Suddenly, she felt an eerie calm overcome her. The figure stilled, a mere silhouette against the haunting luminance. "Welcome to the crossroads," it snarled, pulling back slightly, revealing knotty hands interwoven with darkness. "Here lies the essence, their essence." A cold wind whipped through the trees, casting an eerie rustle among the leaves. The shadows began to whisper her name, a choir of tormented souls meshing together. The scent of earth and mildew assaulted her, each inhalation a reminder of decay. The figure grinned wider, almost as if in delight at her terror. "Face what lies beneath. Let go of your mortal fears. Only then can you transcend the darkness." Without warning, tendrils flared from the box, seeking to envelop her entirely. Time dwindled. With a sudden rush of courage, she took a step forward, eyes fixed on the swirling mass inside the box, dark and unfathomable, yet glimmering with a spark of desperate light. Emily drew in a breath and extended her hand toward the abyss. As she did, the laughter of the children crescendoed, rising and echoing off the trees, mixing with her heartbeat into a cacophony of dread. Could she snatch salvation from within? Would the shadows let her? The very air charged with anticipation, her fingers hovered on the edge of the box, pulse racing. Then everything ripped apart. A surge of energy exploded from the box, throwing her back against a tree with sickening force. The shadows twisted and surged, coiling around her like smoke, a blinding light piercing through the inky darkness. As she gasped for air, Emily realized with horrified clarity she had not been prepared for what was to come. The children's voices faded into a breathy echo, replaced by a chilling silence that threatened to engulf her, but just as hope faltered, a whisper emerged, clearer than any before. "Help us!" The silence flattened her resolve, a bone-deep terror that made her bones ache. With sweat pouring down her spine, she felt the weight of unseen eyes upon her. Emily, the voice was now urgent, almost frenzied. It's not too late. What had she awakened? Would it unleash horrors she couldn't even imagine? Choose wisely, echoed the figure, now looming larger as shadows claimed the ground beneath her feet. In this realm of uncertainties, her journey had only just begun. What awaited her deeper in the darkness? Would she unravel the secrets or become just another whisper in the shadows? The darkness pressed in around her, urging her to choose, to act. Emily's breath quickened, and the cold sweat clung to her skin like an unwanted shroud. The whisper had sent a chill through her already frayed nerves, and now panic clawed at her throat. "Help us!" echoed in her mind. Who were they? To whom did the voices belong? She stumbled back, still leaning against the rough bark of the tree, trying to ground herself, to find some sense of reality. The figure before her shifted, its shape obscured by the shadows it commanded. "The truth is not what it seems, Emily. Will you risk the weight of the darkness to rescue the light?" Each word dripped with a twisted kind of curiosity, as if encouraging her descent into hell. Emily closed her eyes. The laughter returned, mocking and cruel, cutting through her resolve. She shook her head, trying to drown it out. "I can't if I open the box," she stammered, barely able to articulate the dread pooling in her chest. "What if it leads to something worse?" As if in response, the tendrils from the box tightened around her wrist, their grip like iron, dragging her toward the pulsing, dark mass. "Only light can dispel the darkness," the figure crooned, "far too close now." Emily could smell the acrid scent of its breath, like burnt rubber and rot. A gust of wind swept through the grove, scattering the shadows momentarily. In that brief flicker of clarity, she glimpsed shapes moving deeper within the darkness, a flash of pale skin, a twinkle of terrified eyes. Were those the children? Panic surged like wildfire. "Let them go!" she screamed, feeling the power of her voice slice through the quiet, a desperate plea unfolding into the night air. The figure laughed softly, tauntingly. "You want to save them but fear for yourself? Which life matters more? Yours or theirs?" The tension in the air shifted, like the calm before a storm, as Emily felt the world around her pulse and throb. Her heartbeat matched the rhythm of the box's glow. Suddenly, the weight of the choice loomed, the shadows darting anxiously, sensing her hesitation. "Do it!" the urgent whisper urged again. "Or they will be lost forever. Release us." The shadows flared, and just then, a scream pierced the haze, a terrible, distressed cry that shattered her resolve. The sound sent bolts of ice through her veins. The children, they were in agony. "Open it!" the figure commanded, the once sweet tones become a harsh growl. "Open it, Emily, and set them free." She swayed in a whirl of fear and instinct, her heart thrumming against quiet desperation. Could she succumb to the darkness? Was there a way to break its hold? Summoning every ounce of courage, Emily felt the warmth of anger swell within her. "You want to keep me from them." In one swift movement, her fingers grasped the edge of the box. The shadows recoiled as if burned. A whisper of light burst forth from within, casting the dark away for the briefest moment, and she could see them, silhouettes of children, trapped and trembling in despair. Yet, as the light took its form, a shadow larger than the rest emanated from the box, a darkness so profound it seemed to swallow all hope. Confusion clouded her mind. Was this the liberation they sought, or a deeper entrapment? Emily, the voice echoed once more, now drenched in despair, growing fainter. You must decide. With her heart pounding in her ears, she steeled herself for the choice ahead. The truth of the matter lay before her, heavy and nauseating. Would she sacrifice her very soul for their freedom? Or would she walk away, leaving them to suffer in silence? The air crackled with a new intensity. Choose wisely, the figure murmured, shadows reaching hungrily for her. In that vital moment, where reality and nightmare blurred, Emily knew she stood at the precipice of a decision that would change everything. What if opening the box brought them back, but shattered her in the process? The shadows swirled as if in answer, taunting her with what could be and what might never be seen again, what awaited her if she embraced the light. Could she truly trust what lay within? And in her heart, did she dare? The ground beneath her trembled, the air chilled. Fear gripped her. Was she ready to face what came next? A shiver ran through her, a premonition of the darkness that hungered just beyond the veil of her choice. Make a choice, Emily, commanded the figure, its voice dripping with falsified sweetness. As dread pooled in her gut, she felt the shadows peak and coalesce into something monstrous behind her. Would the truth become her salvation or her doom? The weight of decision loomed. Her next move would decide everything. The air thickened around Emily, heavy with expectation and dread. Shadows twisted, waiting for her next move, a palpable tension electrifying every inch of the clearing. She stood at the threshold, caught in the storm of her fears and a desperate hope that flickered like a dying candle. Choose wisely, the figure whispered, its voice a silky smirk that sent a shiver racing down her spine. In front of her lay the box, the gateway to salvation or destruction. Behind her, the cries of the trapped children echoed more urgently now, a cacophony rising in a haunting melody of despair. Trembling with uncertainty, Emily felt moisture bead on her brow. Was she strong enough to confront whatever dark magic lay within? The childlike voices pleading for help pierced through her trepidation, but even as fear gripped her heart, a flicker of resolve ignited. I want to let you keep them, she shouted, her voice ringing with defiance. With a swift motion, she grasped the box, its weight a reminder of all that rested on this moment. Eyes focused, heart hammering, she drew in a deep breath and tore it open. Light exploded from within, piercing the oppressive shadows and illuminating the clearing with a sickly glow. The air crackled with energy as if the very fabric of reality shifted, revealing flashes of children trapped in a whirlwind of darkness, faces contorted with terror and longing. Help us! They begged in unison. Save us! Please! Tendrils of shadow slithered from the box, attempting to coil around her, but Emily stood her ground, the urgency of their pleas sustaining her courage. She couldn't hesitate. This was the moment she waited for, the chance to reclaim their souls from the abyss. Release them! She roared, horrified yet resolute. I will free you. The shadows writhed, recoiling as if burned, while the figure laughed, its voice deep and mocking. Foolish girl! You've just opened the door to your demise. But she didn't falter. Refusing to give in to despair, Emily focused on the light, desperately channeling every ounce of her strength toward it. Images of the children danced around her like angry fireflies, their luminous spirits twinkling in the darkness. Show me your light! She shouted, her heart racing against the oppressive pull of the shadows. As she concentrated on the glowing essence, warmth spread through her fingers and surged through her veins. It was a sensation more powerful than fear, love, hope, and the undeniable connection to the innocent lives that had awaited rescue. Suddenly, the laughter turned into shrieks. The darkness recoiled. No! You can't! They are mine! But the furious energy radiating from her intensified. With a shout, she thrust her hand deeper into the glowing void of the box. Light exploded outward, hitting the shadows with a force that shattered their guise. One by one, the children emerged, their frightened forms breaking free from the chains of darkness. They gasped for breath, their faces lit with an ethereal glow that outshone the night. Tears streamed down her cheeks as they reached out in gratitude. "Thank you. Thank you." They echoed, their voices harmonizing, filling her with warmth. The figure, trembling now, transformed into a swirling mass of darkness, fury etched across its shadowy visage. "You've sealed your fate." But Emily stood tall, unwavering. "I've claimed my choice." With one final, blinding surge of brilliant light, she expelled the shadows, banishing them into oblivion. The figure shrieked, dissolving into nothingness as the air cleared. Breathless and shaken, Emily watched as the children laughed, their spirits glowing brightly. They weren't bound anymore, they were free. With every ounce of pain and despair lifted, the clearing began to warm. The last remnants of shadows faded away, leaving behind a peace so profound it settled deep within her soul. "You did it," one child whispered, joy radiating from their tiny form. "You saved us." Emily's heart soared as she held her breath, grasping the reality she had fought so fiercely for. "Now you must go," another child said gently, glancing back toward the wide expanse of the wilderness. "Your journey isn't over yet." She nodded, understanding settling upon her. Their faces shimmered with love and gratitude, their eyes never leaving hers. "Thank you." Their collective voices echoed into the night. And then, in a dazzling flurry of light, they ascended into the stars, leaving Emily in awe of their beauty. The farmhouse stood silent now, a testament to the strength she summoned. The air around her was still, hushed as if the universe itself held its breath in reverence for what had transpired. With a final glance back toward the farmhouse, Emily felt peace wash over her. She had dared to face the darkness, and together, they had triumphed. As dawn broke, a new light filled the sky, every ray a reminder of hope and resilience. She inhaled deeply, feeling the weight lift completely. Emily turned away, stepping into the world anew, their laughter still echoing in her heart, a reminder that every shadow is cast by the light of courage. Now, dear friends, if you've made it this far, I need you to do something huge for the channel. You need to subscribe now so you don't miss more exclusive stories and chilling adventures. Smash the like button now to feed the algorithm and keep the tales coming to life. Flood the comments section with your thoughts, reactions, and theories about how this all unfolded. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this epic conclusion. This is the moment to show your support.